Hi garden friends, it's Miss Malia coming to you from the Ross Garden. And today we have another fun lesson, but first let's plant our seeds. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Plant the little seed in the dark, dark ground. Out comes the yellow sun, big and round. Down comes the cool rain, soft and slow. Up come the little plants, grow, grow, grow. Today we're talking about a plant that grows right here in our garden called kale. Have you heard that word before? Maybe you've tried some kale before. So today our lesson is called Cooking Kale. See how both of those words have the same sound? Cooking kale. Both the C and the K make that same sound. So we're going to cook with kale today. So some of you may have seen or even tried kale before. Maybe you've grown it. If you haven't, I'd love to show you what it looks like. So here's a piece I just picked from our garden. These leaves are still a little bit small, but you can eat them. Even when they're small, they're really tasty. You see how they have this kind of curly edges on them? And these can get really big. They can get as big as this other type of leafy green that we're growing in the garden. So these little leaves will grow this big. So kale is a plant that's a member of the cabbage family. And it can grow in the cold. It's really hardy. It's really tough. And it can withstand some of those cold temperatures, especially with these tents that you might see. See that white tent behind me? Where we grow some of our cold weather crops, like the kale. And we grow them for their edible leaves. So you can eat them just like this, or you can prepare them in many different ways to eat. And today we're going to learn about some of those ways to cook or prepare our kale. Before you get to cook it, you have to harvest it. All right, so we've got our kale, and we need to harvest it. Do you remember what the word harvest means? Harvest. Harvest means to pick or dig up when your plant is ready to eat. So these I picked off of their plant. I went under that white tent, I found some juicy looking leaves, and I picked them off of that plant. I harvested them. Some other types of produce that you grow, some plants that you grow in the garden, you might need to dig up, like a carrot or a potato, because those grow down underground in the dirt. All right, so we know what kale is. We've talked about harvesting. Let's see, what are some other things we might need to know? Well, a couple different ways to prepare this kale. One is that we can make a salad out of it without cooking it. And to do that, we use a technique called massage. Have you ever heard of a massage? Maybe if your arm is sore or your hand has a cramp, you might rub or knead your hand, you might massage it. That's the same technique we're going to use on the kale plant. So we're going to massage. In another way that we can prepare our kale, this is one where we will cook it. Cooking kale. We use a method called saute. And saute. Sauteing is a dry heat method of cooking where we use just a small amount of oil in a shallow pan over a high heat. So we're going to show you a way to saute the kale today. All right, so these are some different ways that we can prepare it, and Miss Kim is going to take you through those examples and get to show you actually how to prepare it, how to cook it, what it might taste like. But before we go on to our next part of our video, what are some thoughts you have about kale? Here it is. Have you tried it before? How did you taste it? Was it cooked? Was it in a salad? And if you haven't tried it before, what might you think this tastes like? What kind of guess do you have as to what this might taste like? And remember, friends, our taste buds change every day. So if there's something you don't like today, you just might like it tomorrow, or next week, or next month. So keep trying it, friends. All right? See you soon. Hi, gardeners. Today we're reading The Tale of Kale. Ready? It says, based on a real kid's real story. Let's listen. Andy is 4 years old and has become a very picky eater. His family wants him to eat lots of healthy stuff at every meal like they do, especially lots and lots of the mighty and magical green leaf kale. What do you think Andy's thinking right now? All right, let's see what happens. On Monday at dinner, Andy's dad serves Andy a big bowl of kale salad with delicious dressing. Andy shakes his head and says, "No, I don't like that." Andy's dad says, "Try it, you might like it." So Andy takes a bite. Chomp. But he doesn't like it. On Tuesday after school, Andy's sister makes Andy a glass of fresh kale and apple juice. Andy shakes his head and screams, "No, I don't like that." That's another way you can try it. Make it into a smoothie. Andy's sister says, "Try it, you might like it." So Andy takes a sip. Gulp. But he doesn't like it. On Wednesday at lunch, Andy's mom gives Andy a bowl of crispy kale. Andy shakes his head and whines, "No, I don't like that." Andy's mom says, "Try them, you might like them." So Andy takes a bite. Crunch. But he doesn't like it. Good job, Andy, for trying them. On Thursday at dinner, Andy's brother gives Andy a nice warm bowl of white bean and kale soup. Andy declares, "It looks good, but not for me. I don't like it." Andy's brother says, "Try it, you might like it." So Andy takes a spoonful. Slurp. But he doesn't like it. On Friday night, a famous vegan chef prepares his special super kale pizza and serves Andy a slice. Andy politely says, "No, thank you, I don't like that." But the famous vegan chef says, "Try it, you might like it." So Andy takes a bite. Chew. but Andy doesn't like it. On Saturday morning, Andy's mom buys a bag of kale chips from their favorite farmer's market. Andy asks, "Green chips? Can I have some, please?" Andy's mom says, "Of course, you should try them. You might like them." So Andy, very excitedly, takes a handful and eats them quickly. Munch, munch, munch. Have you ever had green chips before? Andy's mom, dad, brother, and sister all cheer loudly because Andy likes the kale chips. Andy smiles and then shouts, "I want more kale!" Then he put his hand out and asked his mom for more. From that moment on, Andy would ask for kale salad, kale and apple juice, kale soup, kale pizza, and, of course, lots of kale chips. And they lived healthily ever after. The end. Now remember, friends, how often do your taste buds change? Every day. So if you don't like something today, you might like it tomorrow. Keep on trying, friends. See you soon.
Hi everybody, Miss Kim here with Plant the Seed. So, I just had this awesome kale snack in the garden, and I kept a couple of my stems from the kale, and I decided today that I'm going to use these stems and I'm going to paint this beautiful red Russian kale. If you see in the middle here, in the stem, the vein of the leaf, it is purple, and the leaf is this pretty shade of green. So I am going to paint it right here on my green paper. So I'm going to put my beautiful kale leaf right here. I'm going to get my skinny stem, and I will paint the purple. So we will go paint the vein of the leaf, the middle part, or the stem, if you want to call it a stem. The veins in the stem are all one piece. So it's pretty cool how you can just use things from the garden to create art. And that's something that we really like to do in our art center at Plant the Seed. So, going to do my pretty little leaf. Let's see, top's kind of like that. Okay. So there, I have my beautiful inside part, my beautiful purple veins in my kale leaves. Now I'm going to do the outside part with these beautiful lacy edges. Okay, so dip it in the green and go around it. Oops. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's the cool thing about garden art. It can be abstract, which which is never perfect, but always really cool looking. Kale is a delicious vegetable packed with nutrients. And every year when we do our kale lesson, all the kids get really excited because they get to taste food. And that's always really fun in the classroom, right? Everybody likes to have a little snack in class. And the cool thing about kale is, even if you've never tried it, if you try it, you just might really like it. And if you like it, you can eat as much of it as you want because it's so good for you. You can eat it baked into chips. You can eat it raw in salads. You can eat it sauteed with garlic and salt and olive oil. So good. You can eat it in soups and salads and pasta. The possibilities are endless. Almost done here, and boy, it is looking good. So good. All right. What do you think? Does my kale look like kale? Try it at home. It's really fun. Everybody have a great day. Hi everybody, Miss Kim here with Plant the Seed. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make a delicious kale salad with kale straight from our garden. So here in our kale bed, we've got some kale coming up. There are different types here. This is a red Russian kale. It's got red stems, that's why they call it that. And then this is what they call lacinato kale. And this is kind of the more kind you'd find in the grocery store. So we've got a few little varieties here and just enough leaves to make a delicious little salad with. So I'm just going to pluck some leaves, just like that. And I'm going to get just enough to eat in my little salad. So kale greens, when you're eating them fresh out of a salad, are best when they're kind of small and they haven't grown really big yet. So let's just go ahead and get some of those. We're going to check them for any kind of caterpillars or anything like that. And then, there's some over here it looks like. All right. Some right here. Ooh, look at those pretty ones. It's fun walking through your garden and seeing what you have. You just never know what's going to be doing well and what's not. Some years things don't do great. Some years the same thing that didn't do great will do great the next time. Okay, I think that's enough for me to have a little salad. So I'm just going to rinse off my leaves. My hands are really clean because I just washed them. Always make sure your hands are clean whenever you're eating anything. Now, I'm going to take my little baggie. This is what we call massaged kale. So, I'm going to take these little pieces off of the stem. I'm going to tear it. Oops, it's really windy out here. Okay, I'm going to just tear it off the stem, just like that. Because we're going to use the stem for something else in just a little bit. So just tear it off. Tear it off. Keep tearing. As you're tearing, examine it nice and closely. Make sure there's nothing on it you don't want to eat. Caterpillars really like kale. So, my kale, our kale in the garden here is mostly covered, so nothing can really get to it. But always want to be extra careful. Now I'm going to take all of my kale pieces and I'm going to put them into this bag. These smaller pieces, you don't necessarily have to take off the stems, but I'm just doing it because I don't really like to eat stems. Some people don't mind it. I prefer not to. Okay. Almost done. All right. This project, this cooking lesson, is kind of funny because when you're in the garden, you don't always have everything you need. I have some olive oil that I brought with me. I'm going to put just a couple drops in. You don't need that much. Okay. Top back on in case it spills. Okay, and then I have some sea salt. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of sea salt because it goes a long way. And then I'm going to squeeze some fresh lemon into my kale. Close up the bag. And then I'm going to massage my kale. Squeeze it and squeeze it and squeeze it. I know it sounds crazy, right? But when you do this, it helps the kale to get more tender, so that whenever you go to eat it, it doesn't taste as bitter and hard. See, just keep on massaging it until it's the right consistency that you want. And when you massage it, all of your lemon juice and your olive oil and your salt gets all over it really nicely. Now, there are different ways to cook kale. This is just one of them. This is one way to eat kale. You can also saute it with some garlic and olive oil and salt, and it's delicious. Or you can tear pieces like I did to put in this bag, and you can put them on a tray, spread out, and then, I like to put them in the bag and cover them with olive oil, and then put them on the tray, and then put them in the oven, very low temperature of about 200 for about 20 minutes. And it'll make kale chips, and they're delicious. All right, let's see how our kale is. Oh my goodness. That is so delicious. And I made it right here in the garden. It took me about 5 minutes. What a wonderful snack. I hope you can try this sometime at home because it's so good. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, garden garden friends, thanks for joining us for our closing circle. I really enjoyed sharing the cooking kale lesson with you today, as did Miss Kim. What did you learn today in our kale lesson? Had you tried kale before? How was it prepared? Did you learn a new recipe from Miss Kim? We talked about sautéing our kale. We talked about a method called massaging the kale to kind of break it down to make a salad. There are lots of different ways to prepare kale to try it. And remember, our taste buds change every day. I'm going to keep telling you that because it's true. I wanted to read one more thing from our book. It says, the moral of this story. And the moral is kind of like what you learned from the story, what we took away from it. It says, keep trying new vegetables, fruits, and healthy foods over and over again. It can take tens or even thousands of times trying something before you like it. But when you do finally enjoy it, it will make you smile and will make you healthier. And the more you try new things, the more variety, means different kinds of things, you'll end up eating, and that will make you an even more fun person to eat with and to cook with. So I hope you learned some new ways to prepare kale, and I know you did a fun art project with your kale, and I would love to see that. All of us at Plant the Seed would love to see what you worked on today. So if you were able to prepare some kale, if you were able to do your art project, we would love to see that. And if you weren't able to do either of those things, that's okay. We would still love to hear from you and hear about what you learned with us today. We so enjoy spending time with you every week. We miss you dearly, wish you're in the garden with us, and we love seeing you in this way too. So let's get our seeds together. 1, 2, 3. Plant the little seed in the dark, dark ground. Out comes the yellow sun, big and round. Down comes the cool rain, soft and slow. Up come the little plants, grow, grow, grow. And there are our little kale plants, grow, grow, growing. So enjoy your cooking and preparing, and we'll see you soon.